way and the free to the public Algo Factory show. So we kind of cover some basic stuff. This is more about kind of giving people who are new to the game some information. People who don't quite understand all of the terms. We get on here, we talk about this metric, that metric, and sometimes your eyes kind of roll a little bit, like your eyes cross because it's just all these different terms. So what we do here is we come on here every day, Monday through Friday. It's me and V the Gorilla, although V the Gorilla is MIA. I think he's going to pop in. Nope, here he is. He is not MIA. Here he comes. We're going to have V come in. We're going to have him do his amazing introduction, and he's just on time.
I am not a Mia. I am not MIA.
You're not Mia. No, you're here. So yeah, dude, do the introduction, man. Let's get that gorilla pump up.
All right. Listen, all of you crazy savages out there that are looking to capitalize, looking to be the exit door through which the largest transfer of wealth. You want to be that toll booth that's going to take a percentage of the largest transfer of wealth in human history that is about to take place as money flees the unipolar, broken, solvent, morally bankrupt, decrepit West and into the multipolar world. Trading is one of the only avenues for you to capitalize on that, and algofactory.tech is the only place where you can learn it properly. Okay, you're going to learn it properly right here. And then on top of that, we're going to teach you how to build the algorithm that's going to work for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, while you transition out of your regular 9 to 5, so that eventually the money garnered from trading, you'll be able to fire your boss, be able to tell him to go take a hike. If you want to, if you choose to. Maybe you love your job, you just want to, have a secondary source of income. You're in the right place as well. But either way, money is a tool. Money opens doors. Money makes things possible. And if you are interested in money, you like to make money, and rather than going back to school and learning a new trade and taking on more student loans or getting a job at the Macy's perfume counter, you'd rather be here learning how to make money. And with that being said, we're in the right place, the right time. So enjoy this free session. Cowboy, let's do it.
Yeah, no, we'll do that. Making money is good. And a lot of people, they want to keep their job, but they just maybe want to have some extra income. Try asking your boss for a raise. See how that goes. For the most part, they're probably going to tell you to, F off, or, hey, you know what? Here's what I used to get when I asked for a raise when I was working for the insurance business. Like, okay, well, now in order to get this raise, you have to meet XYZ metric. And what they did was they had me working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And in order to meet those metrics, I had to go take all these classes that I did not have time to take. So they just kind of, these companies are generally not going to give you a raise until you threaten to leave, right? Well, here's what you can do. If you're able to work with us, you build your algorithm, you're able to become a profitable trader, you're making enough money to where you can afford to leave, and you can tell your job, hey, look, I want a raise or I'm going to leave. They'll probably give you a raise. That's just how that works. Anytime I ever got a raise is because I was threatening to leave. That's just how it's always worked in the business, because I don't know. I think that's just what they look for. That's how corporations work. They push until things break. And also the country that, at least the West, I don't know how the East works, but in the West, I think that's how they run countries too. They always push until things break, and they're pushing pretty hard these days. What do you think, V?
Oh, absolutely, man. And, imagine going to your boss and be like, hey, boss, I want a $36,000 raise. He look at you like you're crazy. But you want to know something? Yeah. You have one of our algorithms. Imagine one of our algorithms scalping up just a measly $100 a day. Just a measly $100 a day. At the end of the year,
sorry, go ahead.
At the end of the year, that's $36,000, man. That's not even counting the compounding factor.
Yeah, no, it's that's right. That's not counting if you keep your money in and you're using the same percent. There is a compounding factor to this. But what's really cool is that I was talking to my coder this morning. I wake up nowadays at about 3:30 a.m. my time, and my coder's on the other side of the world. So I got a lot going on though. I trade the European markets and all this stuff. So got to get up pretty early to do a lot of things. And as I was talking to him last night, he's like, we're trying to, it's not that hard to create the algorithm itself. That's actually pretty easy. We guide you through that at Algo Factory. We can even start from scratch if you know nothing about trading. That's the whole idea. We actually build traders, and then we worry about the coding and all that stuff afterwards. So even if you don't get to the point where you've coded your algorithm, we actually have ways to where you can build an algorithm that's based on a way that you can trade, and you can trade outside of your work hours. So it's even if you don't go the whole, hey, I'm gonna code this and auto trade that, and we still provide that ability to do what people have been doing for a long time, and using manual algorithms, which is just a trading method, to make money. But the cool thing is that what we've done here is when you code algorithms, a lot of times you have to use a pretty complex computer language. And there's Pine script, which we code on TradingView, which is a pretty relatively lightweight language. It's used specifically for the purpose of coding trading algos, right? That's what it's for. However, in order to port over to where you can auto trade, you actually have to go through sometimes a third-party app. And and a lot of times that requires C++ or more complex coding that costs a lot of money to have done. So what we're doing is my coder, our in-house coder, he is a retired coder. He's been in the business a long time. He knows a lot of different languages, and he's finding a way to bridge the Pine language over to these other languages so he doesn't expose us to as much of the more complicated stuff. And what that's going to enable us to do is to actually get algos coded for a much cheaper price. Because I've seen, coding an algo so you can turn it on and walk away, or turn it on and have it trade for you, and you only have to pay attention every so often. Having that coded, I've seen it cost more than 10 grand just for one algo. It's just the languages that they're using or those coders are expensive. So what we're doing is we're economizing that by bridging the Pine script, which is a much easier language to code. And so this guy is pretty much like a genius badass who's going to make it to where it's much more scalable for us in our group to have our algos coded at a cheaper price. So that's what we're working on in the background. I know that kind of sounded like a lot of tech jargon and stuff like that. I know those of you who are tech heads probably understand what I just said. I understand about 10% of what I just said. I pretty much talk out of my rear end and act like I know things. But
if you can't win them with your knowledge, dazzle them with your bullshit. That's what
my name's not Victoria F the EU Newland. What are you talking about? You know that video where she said F the EU and they caught it on tape?
She's a genius. She's a genius.
No, it's great. Just another Western sociopath that's being encouraged to fail forward, right? They try to make her assistant deputy. What is it?
Try to make her president of the world. That's how low IQ she is. She's a perfect candidate.
Perfect candidate. Well, look at the current president. He didn't even know where he is.
That fat slug called Victoria Newland is one of the head individuals at the Institute for the Studies of War. This excrement of a human being, an absolute excrement of a human being, hasn't even shot a water gun in her life, but she's an expert on war, cowboy. Only in the broken, solvent, retarded West. God help us.
God help us. And so when you have by the way, people who are saying right now, streaming on YouTube but can't see it on the Telegram channel, that's because we are now streaming on our Live Lab channel. You all are used to looking at the main channel, so you got to flip over to the Live Lab channel and enter there. Okay, so let me type that in. Flip. We did that for some economizing reasons. Flip over to Live Lab channel. Hopefully you guys see that. We're just helping our private members get into the Live Lab because we made a very slight change. We do have people who are in watching, so I know that it's, or is it not working? What the hell? We got people listening, but is it actually streaming is the question. Because normally I would be getting. Wow, I know what the problem is. I know exactly what the problem is. I know, you know what it is? I'm on the wrong profile. That's the problem. So there's audio but no video. Let me leave this. I'm going to see if I can. And look, here's the thing. For those who are just listening and there's no visual, you're not missing anything yet. We haven't. It's supposed to be video chat, but I'm on the wrong profile. So what we're going to do is fix that and start streaming. Okay, now this will fix it. Whoever's on there now should be able to see it. Yep, we got viewers coming in. So you didn't miss anything. All you heard us was BSing about, politics and whatnot, which is not really a lot to do with trading. But here's the thing about it: we're in the we're in a world where our options to make money are waning, right? Like we've basically have gutted our economy, we've gutted our manufacturing, and we're having a lot of political pressure on business owners. So if you want to own a business, your chances of actually being able to do so successfully are waning. It's really, look what they did to people in the pandemic. You don't think they could do that again? I thought about opening a brick and mortar, right? But why would I open a brick and mortar when, when I might just have it taken away by the government? Like, I won't have the right to keep my business open and let people have the right to come into my business of their own accord. I have to do what is told to me by some unelected, local health person advisor. That's just not the way things go. So here's what we do. We actually have a way to make money. It takes time. It's like going to school. It's a lot of effort, not a lot, but it's a fair amount of effort. This is not something you're going to get rich quick, but we hand you the keys. And if you're willing to put forth the effort, there's a very high probability you will be successful. So that's what we do. That's what we're here to talk about. And I actually had a really good question from, who was it today? It was Trev. So Trev was asking about some indicators. So I'm just going to read out Trev's question, and then we're going to take a look at the charts and go over, see if we can at least start to answer this. And it might even spill over into the private lab. We'll get it, So here's the thing. Let me kind of introduce the idea to the new traders out there. When we build a trading algorithm, what we do, and then I do say this at the beginning of most shows. You hear the term algorithm, a lot of people kind of get a little scared. They're like, oh man, it's going to be I have to know how to code, or I've got to, learn all this computer stuff. I got to pay some computer genius 80 grand to build some, no, it's not like that at all. As a matter of fact, you can build an algorithm without any computer code. I mean, you'll be using an online platform. You'll be using TradingView so you can chart, right? But you don't have to have somebody who knows how to code to build this for you. It's just not necessary in this world, right? So what there needs to be known here is that we help you build a manual trading algorithm, something that has been, any trader's been trading with these for like forever, since trading existed. It's been an algorithm, even back in the 40s or whatever, when they were just paper looking at the price. Like they would decide, okay, this stock is, 50% down, and every time it's gone 50% down, I can make a 28% gain on average. That's an algorithm, right? So we help you build those. And then if it pleases you, if it suits you, we will help you code that so it can trade for you. So that's what we do. And what we do that with is we use a software. It's web-based. It's called TradingView. I'm going to put it on the screen right now. And I've been using TradingView since 2017. It's a great program. There's a lot of gobbledygook on the screen. Don't worry about it. We're going to clean it up for you, and we're going to zoom it in so you can see some of the numbers. And I'm going to move over to Bitcoin because everybody likes Bitcoin, right? So we're going to look at the Bitcoin chart. And again, I'm just going to clean this up and, clean up the gobbledygook. So those little arrows and those lines, those are indicators, right? They work a certain way. The real simple one is now these don't always work this way. So, if you simply when you have the blue arrow pointing up, that means there's a decent probability price will head up. You have the red arrow pointing down, there's a decent probability price will head down, but it doesn't always work that way. You can see right now, if you simply bought and sold based on those, you might not do too well, right? But then there's this red line across the top, and that's a totally different indicator. And when price is below that, it means that price generally goes down. It goes down over time. But still, even if you sold at these little arrows, knowing the price goes down, it can still go up and you can lose your trade, right? So then you have this other indicator that, one of the many that I have at the bottom of the screen here. And those are other things that you can stack up. And if I click this button, you're going to see that there's multiple time frames. So I'm going to look at, the price on, say, a 2-hour time frame. So I'm going to look at price, and these Japanese candlesticks will represent 2 hours worth of price, right? And then I can go to a higher time frame where these Japanese candlesticks represent 12 hours worth of price. And what that allows me to do is to look at the higher time frame bias. And then pretty soon you stack up all this information together and you get what's called confluence. Now, confluence is a way that you can have a higher probability of knowing what's going to happen next. And that's how we build our algorithms. And these indicators are one of the things. The other things that we use are going to be price action, which is paying attention to how these Japanese candles act. We did a pretty good class, I think it was yesterday, on support and resistance, might have been the day before. And if you're looking at the YouTube, there's some clips where, I just take some real kind of quick clips out of our shows, maybe 5-10 minutes, and we explain those concepts. So, that's free information, by the way. Like, that's killer stuff right there. If you go and take a look at our YouTube clips, that's a way to kind of get some of the key info in short blasts rather than listening to a 30-minute show if you don't have that kind of time. But the whole story here is we use these indicators plus price action plus multiple time frame analysis to build an algorithm. And what you're doing is, it's like, okay, so when you go to Vegas and you sit at the slot machine, like, you have a certain matrix of odds. Like, your odds of winning are extremely low. If you sit at the slot machine long enough, like, you're going to play into those odds. Like, let's just say your odds of winning your money back is like, I'm just going to guess it's about 20-30%. I'm just going to guess. I don't know. I don't really gamble because I'm a trader, and trading has ruined gambling for me. So what you're doing is like, okay, what if you could take that slot machine and you could tilt the odds in your favor to where you're going to win 60 or 70% of the time? If you knew that was the case, you would sit at that slot machine all day long, because you knew that if you just, if you just put enough money in, you're going to win 60 or 70% of the time. And you're going to get more money, and you'd sit at that thing all day. You'd just live in Vegas and probably catch lung cancer from all the smoke in the casino because you're pumping coins in all day. So what we do is we allow you to do something similar to like that. Now, you do have to develop it yourself. We're not going to just hand it to you because, first of all, one thing that's important in this game is you need to do your own research, right? Like, before you invest any money anywhere, you always talk to a licensed investment advisor. Like, we can't, what we do here is educational only, right? You can't just put your money in the market based on what we say. But what we do is we give you a component to allow you to consult your professional. And what you can do is tilt the odds in your favor. And the way you do that is you build an algorithm with these with these indicators and with the price action and with the multiple time frames. And then, after you test it and you do a fair amount of testing that can take several weeks, depending on your free time, it's like, hey, I know that this is going to win for me like 65% of the time. And I know that when I do win, if I invest $100, the average amount of money I'm going to make is like $128. So not only are you winning like maybe 65% of the time, whatever your number is, maybe it's 75, maybe you got a really nice algo and it's 80, like, who knows? But you also know that even if I'm winning 50% of the time, when I win, it's more than I lose. So that also tilts the odds in your favor. And that's a whole different conversation. But we use these indicators, among other things, in order to build that algorithm that gives you those metrics, that's allowing you to sit in front of a slot machine, that if you play it the same way every single time, you will make money. And here's the problem. We have traders with great algorithms. Their algorithms are built. They work great. There's nothing wrong with them. But they trade emotionally. They trade outside of their rules. They don't trade the way, they don't even follow their algo. They get excited, they get greedy, they make bad choices. They do a lot of things that will whittle away their money rather than simply following the rules that they have made for themselves. And that's trading psychology. We teach that also. Algo Factory has that. As a matter of fact, I'll just give a quick preview of our classes. And you have the essentials course, which is the basics of trading. And it kind of puts you on the path. We also help you in here. We answer questions. If you're a brand new trader, the Essentials course will give you some of the tools that you're going to need in order to learn how to trade. We have several. I think Valley Girl, who's in the comments section, is one of our new traders who has not traded before or not traded much. And then, of course, we have the algorithmic structure course. Once you have your kind of foundation down, you're going to go ahead and learn how to build the algorithms, which is what we just got done talking about. Then you have the operations course, which teaches you how to test everything to tilt the odds in your favor. And then you have the ethos course, which is a trading psychology. So now if you don't have your psychology down, you're going to lose. I don't care how good your algo is, but today we're not talking about psychology. We are talking about indicators, right? And so I'm going to go, now that we've kind of established what we do, how we do it, I'm going to talk about indicators. And here's the thing. Here's what Trev asked, one of our private members. He said, show question, which means that it's a question for the show, which I always encourage our private members to ask questions ahead of time, and I can build a show around that. He says, one of the most popular indicators seem to be a function of price. one of. He says most of the popular indicators seem to be a function of price. You have shown the value of FRVP, which is fixed ranged volume profile, and demonstrated VWAP, which is very volume weighted average price. But volume calculated trending indicators don't seem to have high popularity. I'm personally stacking EFI, which is the Elder Force Index, with my algo just because it seems closest to the raw data. What is your experience of volume calculated indicators on balance volume, money flow index, etc.? Okay, so well, FRVP is actually volume based, not price based. So the one that you talked about as a function of price, that's actually volume based, FRVP. That's fixed range volume profile. So that's not based on price, that's based on volume. And I use that one all the time and it works great. So that should answer some of your question on that. EFI, Elder Force Index, I've used before, but I've not used it a lot because I actually prefer the Elder Impulse. So, EFI, we can pop it on the screen really quick. Let me bring up the friendly chart, right? So I can do something that's a lot cleaner. Let's see, is that our friendly chart? That is not the friendly chart. Is this the friendly chart? Let's see here. I believe this is it. Yep, there's our friendly chart. And let me go ahead and clear out all the indicators and expand this. And then I'm going to go ahead and make all of the different screens, all the different time frames the same way by, where is this? Remove drawings indicators, look vertical. Okay. Interesting. It won't let me make this like the rest. So anyway, we'll just work on this screen. So EFI is going to be Elder Force Index. And I actually didn't know that was volume based. Like I said, I like the Elder Impulse because that is actually moving average based. And I like moving averages. But if I type on my indicators up here, I click on that, I type Elder Force Index. I click on your classic one. So you're going to have this basically, it is an oscillator of sorts, and the volume pops up, and then as it sloughs off, it goes back and retraces to the mean. I do like mean retracement indicators for sure. So with Elder Force, it is good in a sense because once you have a zero line cross, you can use it. Of course, I would be kind of stacking that with different indicators. For example, like if nothing else, I would be looking at the price action. I would establish a trend. So obviously your trend is down, lower highs, lower lows. You can even do this little guy here, right? So all the way down here, you have a downtrend without getting too detailed on that. So as you're on a downtrend, even with just price action, not looking at higher time frame indicators to establish that, if you're just going to look at price action, you're going to use one indicator. One way to do that is with Elder Force. Every time price pops above, every time the force index kind of reverts to the mean and even goes past the mean and then dumps back down, then there's a decent chance price will continue downward. So where do we see that? Well, we know we're in a downtrend at this point, right? So now once we've established a downtrend, which is basically there, at this point where I just put that line, a downtrend is established. Now we have a pop up there and we have a break back down here. So you could enter a short. You have a pop up here and a break back down right there. So you could enter a short. And again, you have technically one right there. You would have lost that trade, but another one right there, you would win that trade. And technically one right here, you would win that trade as well, depending on your risk to reward ratio. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 winning trades, 1 losing trade using the Elder Force Index. Okay, so that's just a simple way, and the same would do as if we looked at an uptrend. And we, of course, we don't know the future here if we're really trading. So we do have basically an established uptrend right about here. So you don't know it's an uptrend until this point right there. So if you have the Elder Force Index retrace to the mean as it does right here and then pop back up, that's right there, retrace to the mean, quick pop up there, retrace to the mean, pop up here, retrace to the mean. But here's the problem, your your uptrend has been broken right here. As soon as like the uptrend is actually violated right there. So you wouldn't pay attention to the next move up necessarily. So you have 1, 2, 3 trades, and 2 out of 3 are successful, right? Because you're just using price average to establish an uptrend on the Algo Force Index. Now, what you could do, and how we do things at Algo Factory, is we do multi-time frame analysis, right? So let me go ahead and apply the indicators to the entire layout. No, yeah, we'll do that. And then what we'll do is we'll add an indicator. Let's do this. Let's erase the drawings. Let's go ahead and make this just a 2-pane screen. We have a 30-minute and a 3-hour. So we have like a lower time frame, which is 30-minute, and then we have a higher time frame that is 3-hour. For those who are new to trading, what that means is that each of these candles represent 30 minutes of price action on the left, 3 hours of price action on the right. And I won't have time to go into this entire example because we are approaching the end of the show, but I'm going to throw a new indicator on there called MACD, Moving Average Convergence Divergence. And if I can find it here, MACD, there it is. This is a very common, simple indicator. And what we can do here is you'll see that on the right-hand side of the 3-hour, your uptrend is actually rather well established here based on how MACD works, right? You have this, we're not going to do an MACD clinic today, but let me go ahead and erase this elder index, and then we'll expand this. We'll erase this MACD because we're not using it on this time frame. And we'll expand this, right? So you have an upward trend, and that upward trend is going to last all the way until about this area right about here, really. Right about there is where the upward trend ends, and the upward trend begins right about here. So you know that because you have MACD. You don't have to worry about price action because here it's very difficult. I mean, it's not difficult. It's kind of obvious it's on an uptrend, but it's on such a strong uptrend. You don't know when it's going to stop, and you might be afraid to get into it because you haven't had any pullbacks. Well, in this case, you have an indicator telling you that. So you don't have to rely on price action, which might be more difficult to rely upon. And you see that the elder force drops below the 0 right here. And as soon as it pops back up, which is the next candle, you can enter. So you're using an indicator on a higher time frame to give you that high time frame bias. And that's how that works, okay? So that's what we do at Algo Factory. I basically built an algo and shared it to the public for free. You could take this algorithm and backtest it, and then I just gave away everything, right? Now, here's the thing about it, is that there's so much more than having a good algorithm. I talked about that at the beginning of the show. I can guarantee you, if you haven't really been trading or successfully trading, and you just take this little algo that I built and you go with it, you're probably going to lose your money. There's a good chance of it. The probabilities out there say that you will because you don't understand trading psychology. You have not had the experience to know how to do this from a psychological standpoint, nor have you learned how to trade it like a business. Come over to Algo Factory, www.algofactory.tech, put the URL on the screen, Gorilla, give us that send off, and we'll continue this conversation for our private clients.
All right, guys, listen, all you procrastinators and debaters, don't be sitting there waiting on the sidelines, wondering if this is right for you. Look, nothing is perfect. Perfect is what you make it. And I'll tell you right now, you're not going to get closer to perfect than right here at algofactory.tech. Join us and stop leaving money on the table. With that being said, Cowboy, let's go.